It looks like it's uploading a bunch of Unify equipment on Kijiji.
Nice.
It's storming pretty bad here. Hopefully, everything stays on. If I disappear suddenly, it's because of the rain.
Yeah, we got some rain coming.
I was talking on the phone today, and it was like it was hailing. It was raining so hard, hitting the front there. All right, where is the?
It's pretty hard.
TJ, what did you post a picture
of? That's that Beacon HD access point, the mesh one, mesh only.
Oh.
It literally goes over the whole outlet. It's huge. Like y'all couldn't have just made this a little bit smaller.
It's got to get rid of heat.
Hey, it's episode 399. Boop. All right, I pushed the button.
Boom.
Okay. Wow, we just get started later and later every time. All right, I'm good to go. You guys ready?
I was born ready.
Just gonna split my track here.
Ooh, is it actually episode 399?
It is. It is
crazy.
In fact.
We should do like a giveaway next week.
Ooh, what are we gonna give away?
Oh, I've got an Ava remote we could give away.
You still trying to give that away?
I haven't actually tried, and that person from Delaware never contacted me, so I'm
assuming
be a good
product to give away.
Ava remote.
Nobody's gonna want that. It's not a remote entry. Though.
It's not a remote, even though it's a remote.
You can't even give it away.
You can buy 5 of them at a time now for some reason.
Bulk pricing. They just got a bigger box. They were like, "Oh, look, we can put more of these in this big box."
Shit, we can't sell any of these.
All right, we're live.
That's all right.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's start.
Let's go.
This is the HomeTech podcast for Friday, August 12th. From Sarasota, Florida, I'm Seth Johnson.
From Powell, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
And welcome to the HomeTech podcast, a podcast all about all aspects of home technology, streaming, automation, all the good stuff. This week's big news week. Like just the big news. Like after the show, we record the show pretty early in the week, and then I take my time to edit it, yada yada yada. And then like all of a sudden, the news just started dropping left and right. So got a bunch of stories tonight, but we did want to follow up on our conversation, conversations plural that we've had in the past. Do a little follow up here about the Meet the East Insteon CEO. Did you guys listen to that podcast, the IoT podcast that Stacy interviewed Insteon's new CEO? Did you guys take a listen to that?
Oh yeah, I had to. That was a must listen, to be honest. Like a lot of hype to that one.
Yeah. I gave it a listen as soon as it came out, and it didn't really give us a lot of information. It pretty much confirmed a couple of things that I think everyone was kind of thinking. But it was nice to hear from the CEO and just hear about what they're going through.
Yeah, I didn't instill any confidence in me. I'm sure he knows what he's doing, but it was like, yeah, we just bought this thing, and we turned on servers, and yeah, I guess we'll just purchase some product and get that rolling so we can sell some stuff later on. And yeah, it was just kind of like the roundabout way of just like, well, we really don't know what's going on here, and we're just gonna have to keep feeling it out. And that's the impression I got. It's like, well, we got a big push later this year, like a big industry push to talk about Matter and all that stuff. Like it's gonna happen. It's not gonna matter, right? But like there was very little talk about that. Like I mean, Insteon has so much going for it. Like it really does. Like it's a cool technology. Those not IKEA branded things that they worked on. What was that? The Nokia branded stuff that they had. They worked with Nokia to design. That stuff was really cool. Like talk about that. Like say, hey, we're really looking forward to getting those products on the shelves. Like that would be really cool. But didn't get any of that. I was just kind of like bored.
Yeah. One of the things I did like that you were saying was he's listening to the feedback from people. So he said he talked to people, they're looking into things such as local control, et cetera, right? And that's good, but that takes time to implement. From the time you get an idea from somebody or you hear what somebody wants to the time you roll it out, it's not going to be till next year. So, and will that person still be around at that time? You don't know, right? So anything new from them probably won't come out till next year,
if that, right?
Yeah,
Because they've got software to get through and hardware to get out.
It absolutely won't come out to next year. I mean, they basically said that they were given nothing, and they just gained access to like a storage locker that has some articles of whatever in it, and they're working to kind of get devices remanufactured and stuff like that. But there's not really anything set in motion to do that just yet. They're still in the exploratory phase. They're trying to figure out what they have and what they need to do and everything. So not a lot of confidence instilled, but at least the answers were direct and he wasn't, trying to make it sound better than it was.
Oh, that yeah, for sure.
For good or worse, I don't know, but I don't know. That's what I kind of liked about it myself. It didn't really instill a lot of confidence in me just because of what they were talking about, but at the same time, it wasn't like just I don't know. A lot of tech CEOs try to make things different than what they actually are, and it didn't seem like he was interested in doing that. So,
no, I don't think he had any. I don't think he had any rose-colored glasses on. Like he was definitely down to earth and legit about what he was talking about, and very upfront with the challenges that they have moving forward. But again, it was just kind of like, well, it seemed like the effort that has gone into it. It's like, well, let's just turn the servers on and see if we can hire a few people back that want to come back to this. It doesn't sound like they were able to hire everybody else back. Like there's, or, the full team that may have been working on the product at this time, but it would have been nice to have like at this point, that's a pretty high traffic interview, right? Like it's a decently followed podcast by the nature of it, it spans across a number of verticals, and like there was no mention of like roadmaps or anything like that. It was like we're still just figuring this out, a couple months later, and it's like I don't know. To me, I don't know where to put my finger on it. Like I understand. To me, it seemed like he likes this stuff because he has it, or he has a big investment in it, or just wants to invest in it. But I don't know how much he actually believes in what they have there. Maybe I'm just reading into that wrong, but I just didn't get. I wasn't very inspired by what he said, I guess.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think if I was an Insteon user at this point and I listened to that podcast, I probably wouldn't feel very good about it. But I don't have any devices, so I guess we'll just wait and see how it rides out.
Yeah. Well, we do have one other piece of follow up with our NFL streaming conversation, and I was listening back to what we talked about, and I was like, oh man, TJ, you and I totally missed like a solid bullet point on why this is going to be a huge mess. And it's because of the way exactly what your client was asking you to come out and do. Come out and install. I've got 30 TVs in this restaurant, put a Roku TV behind every single one of them. And when the game's on, I'm just going to go around to all of those and hit play. And that doesn't work. Like, not only were we kind of talked briefly about the like how many streams you can get off a single account. Say they fix that, right? Streaming is not a broadcast type solution. It is kind of like when you hit play, well, you're going to go out to some CDN, content delivery network server. You're going to hit that server and you're going to download the couple of packets that get downloaded into the client there, and it'll play those packets. It'll reach out and get some more, reach out and get some more. It kind of does it over and over again. And you go to the next player, you hit play, it's going to reach out and grab some packets. Those packets aren't going to be the same packets as the other one. So basically, you're going to have 30 TVs that are just at various stages through this game. And you're going to have this echoing cacophony going around, or sound that doesn't line up with what is playing on the TV. Like the crowd's going crazy, and you're like, they haven't even like gotten out of the huddle. Like, why is the crowd going crazy? And then you find out, oh, there was a touchdown on that play, because that TV over there where those people are freaking out are just like jumping up and down. Like that's going to be a huge mess. If anybody thinks that is going to be a solution for this problem, moving forward. I hope your client understands that.
Yeah,
that's a mess.
And it's funny that we didn't touch on that in the previous podcast, because that was one of the first things I brought up to him, is that you really need to do a video distribution solution to solve those issues. You know, you're not going to be able to stream two Apple TVs next to each other and have it be the exact same image and everything at the same time. So yeah, pretty funny we forgot to mention that, because that's a pretty big deal.
I think we talked about it in before we started the show, which is always our problem. We always talk about the good stuff there, but you did mention that.
You know, and it's crazy too. And I know that Seth just spent like 10 minutes explaining to me why this happens, and I get it and everything, but it's just crazy that we have this problem that can't be addressed in some solution, right? Like if I have 5 rooms in my house, I should be able to have the same thing showing at the exact same time without a multi-$1,000 video distribution system.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard enough to do audio like that without having any kind of delay or anything, but just one of those silly issues that still exist, even though everything is so fast and spontaneous now.
Yep. And Gavin, you had some pretty tragic streaming news this week.
Oh man, yeah, Days of Our Lives. So, and the funny part is, my mom called me about this before I even saw the article, right? So, Days of Our Lives is being moved to Peacock. It will no longer be on daytime television. It will be streaming only. You'll have to pay to see it. And she was upset. She, she was venting to me about it. She does not want to have to get a streaming box. And she told me how much she already pays too much for cable as it is, and how, why should she invest in something else? And yeah, even though sometimes she just records it on her little PVR, she has a simple setup. It's one of those shows where she's like, after so many years, I'm just going to stop watching. All right.
That's probably not what they want to have happen.
That's probably what's going to happen to the older, fan base of this, is why would they pick up streaming? They'll just watch something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. My mom would drop me. If we're having a phone call and it could be like something important and General Hospital comes on, like, oh, gotta go, click, she's on the phone. Like that's important. And I totally get it, Gavin. Yeah.
My mom wouldn't even answer the phone when Days of Our Lives, was on.
Forget it.
Used to think when she didn't answer the phone, it was something wrong. Like, oh no, Days of Our Lives is
just
on. Okay.
Try and call back twice. Nope. Not picking that phone up.
No. And it's not even like it rings. You're sent straight to voicemail sometimes, Right? You get the one ring and you're hitting the voicemail. You're like, Days of Our Lives.
I was talking about like a landline, but no, you're talking about a cell phone where the caller ID. Oh, that's Gavin. Click.
I got more important things going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just came back from the dead.
Again for the 5th time. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? It was either that or get canceled. So I guess the actors, said, you know what? It's better than being canceled. I just think this is like, a precursor to being canceled. Like, how long will this last? We'll see.
Yeah, and are they really going to get new subscribers? Are younger people or people on streaming actually interested in soap operas? Maybe. More interested in soap operas than Matter, probably.
Telenovelas are pretty good.
Those are pretty popular.
Yeah, but they're not. I mean, they are the same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they're exactly the same thing. Yeah. All
right. Well, maybe this is the right move. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, see what happens with it. Hopefully your mom is able to, maybe they'll do they have like a little tie in to like the cable box that the company provides to the Peacock app?
Not her cable box. No, she doesn't have a Roku TV. She doesn't have her setup's very basic, and we're not planning to upgrade it just so she can watch Days of Our Lives.
Oh man, you're gonna get disowned.
I think she just
hope she doesn't hear this.
I think she just got into the whole PVR thing recently. Like,
you're out of the will.
Yeah. Oh no. Me and my sister are constantly added and removed from the will. It depends on who's the bad child, good child this week, right? So I think right now I'm out. She's in.
Yeah, she sets up a Peacock app and pays for it each month and gives your mom a login, and then you're out, man. You may as well just. That's too good. All right, guys, what do you say we jump into a couple home tech headlines here?
Let's do it.
All right. The biggest news. Sorry, clicked on the wrong thing. Clicked on the link and it
very
went
big.
Took me away. All right, biggest news this week. In the past week here is Amazon is acquiring iRobot for $61 a share in an all-cash deal that values the Roomba maker at $1.7 billion. And the company announced this, I think, on Friday last week. The deal furthers the retail giant's footprint in the home technology market as well as the home robotics market. iRobot was founded in 1990 by MIT roboticists and is best known for making the Roomba, a robotic vacuum launched in 2002. And it can go around and clean up your floors autonomously. It's done a bunch of improvements. And I think there's even like mops and squeegee things now on the Roombas that can mop floors. That's kind of cool. The combination of Roomba, Alexa, Ring doorbells, and Amazon's other smart home products give the company an incredible amount of data in the modern home, and will naturally lead to even more questions around privacy and Amazon's control over the entire smart home market. And that didn't take them very long. There's already stories out about this acquisition being, quote, the most dangerous in the company's history. But okay, guys, let's start with you, TJ. What do you think about this? Overall, what do you think about the acquisition here?
Pretty big news. I mean, they've been spending the past several years building up, the smart home arsenal. They have Ring, they have Eero, they have this robot vacuum now. Pretty soon, you're not going to be able to go anywhere without just seeing, Amazon or Alexa integration on everything. And it's been kind of happening for a while now. I think Amazon's probably the most forefront in the home automation industry at this point, consumer facing at least. Their hubs come with Zigbee stuff built into them. And with purchases like this, it kind of just secures their dominance in this field.
Yeah, Gavin, what do you think?
A little nervous about this one because this gives Amazon a lot of information about everybody. Everybody that has this has a Roomba right now. It's mapped out pretty much their house, and Amazon's going to know the exact layout of their house. They're going to know exactly, what furniture you have, so much information that they can use to then sell you more stuff, right? Or they may sell it to other people, like it's a little nerve-wracking because of what they're getting. As much as I like my Roomba, I haven't really thought about what I'll do yet. I'll probably keep it still, like, to me, in the end, I'm like, my information's out there somewhere anyway. I can't hide from it. I have too many things listening, like just looking at my ads, I know somebody's listening, so yeah. I'll probably still keep it, but it's kind of scary that the bigger company just got all this information. That's probably what they're paying for too.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, how hard is it to make a robotic vacuum that just bounces off the walls these days? Because it seems like everybody has been coming out with those. I think, Wise has one. There's a couple of other startup companies that have come out with some actual decent versions that they don't do the bumping off the walls thing. They do they map out your home too and ride around. So the privacy thing, there's a story over at the Insiders that's really good. I will have to get Robert Weissman, the president of Public Citizen, the story credit for the best quote in here. The last thing Americans and the world needs is Amazon vacuuming up even more of our personal information. There you go. Zing! He got it. So good job. It's interesting. He goes on to say this is not about Amazon selling another device in its marketplace. It's about the company gaining still more intimate details about our lives to gain an unfair market advantage to sell more stuff. And they go on to talk about how these vacuums can go around and see that you have dog toys in the house and say, oh, well, we'll start shuffling ads inside the Amazon app over there and sending and giving you ads about dog toys and that kind of stuff. So you'll buy it when you're on the website. I don't know. It to me, this, I really don't like, I buy stuff off Amazon and I know they track me and try and figure out based on my random purchases from them what I should be buying from them. But I'm not in the iRobot portfolio, and I don't really have any Amazon devices in my house. So I'm like, as far as the smart home is concerned, I'm not really too concerned about this because it doesn't affect me very much. But I can certainly see how this is going to kind of like limit the innovation in those two spaces, right? Because if you're going to like a one-stop place, it's all integrated together, and you can tell your Ring doorbell that somebody needs to vacuum on your way out the door or something like that. It may work. I don't know. Like, is that a convenience? I was just kind of laughing at there was something that Dave Zatz had posted late last night about setting up some kind of routine that tells the Echo every morning to not not do the "oh, by the way" thing. It's like, "Oh, by the way," yada 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 yada. Like every time you tell it, "Oh, by the way, did you know that you can do this?" And it's like, man, you guys really have to jump through that many hoops to get this thing working, right? Like, just it won't shut up. You can tell it to stop doing it, but it's temporary and it comes back. And Gavin, I see you shaking your head, just like laughing. But like, I posted a picture on my Twitter. Like, it was a guy like doing these like incredible gymnastics through these hoops, and I'm like, this is Alexa users right now. Like, just jumping through hoops.
Yeah, Alexa is very annoying like that, I find. Especially when late at night you try to do whisper mode and it answers back at full volume, and you're like, okay, at least it was a quick answer. And by the way, and you're like, no, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Like,
why is that even a thing?
I don't
understand
know
it.
who thought of that. Who thought of that? They're the most hated person probably right now. But what I find funny about Amazon and all this stuff is I keep buying things and getting sucked into Amazon's ecosystem. So, I was like, okay, I have my Ring cameras. They're not Amazon. They'll never get that information. Then they buy Ring. I was like, all right, I'm on Eero. They won't know what devices I have on my network, and then they buy Eero. They must have known I had a Roomba because they went out and bought a Roomba.
Listen to the show, right?
What other devices do you have? What else are they going to buy?
They're going to start selling overly priced racks soon.
Yeah. Or Ratio is probably listening right now. Well, Gavin has a Ratio. Maybe Amazon's going to buy us now. Like, that's the next step. They'll know when I water my lawn and how big my lawn is and sell me lawn care stuff.
It is interesting that you mentioned those devices. I mean, all of them previously are sold, not previously, but were sold on Amazon Marketplace. And I always looked at this stuff. I'm like, well, I wonder if they're just looking at the sales data and saying these are the best in category. Let's just 100%. Buy those. But at the same time, like I said before, like, it's not. Amazon already had a video doorbell, right? They already had a company making a video doorbell, but they bought Ring, and they're like, hey, now we got the video doorbell that everybody is buying on our website. They're not buying our thing. They're buying this over here. Yeah. Amazon could have made an Amazon Basics vacuum, robotic vacuum thing, and some people would have bought that, but they didn't. They said, we're going to go out and buy the best in class, $1 billion purchase. This is the fourth biggest acquisition the company's had. I mean, they got money to burn, and good for them, I guess, but
and no regulations. So
yeah, well, not in America. Come on, I think we're gonna stamp that with a gold seal and kiss it.
I think one of the first comments I posted when that article was posted in the Slack, I was like, do you think the FTC will care now or in 6 years? So
I don't think they have any understanding. I know there are people that do, but I don't think that politicians have any understanding what this means. And there are people that do, and they sound like they're crazy when they're like out there like yelling about this stuff, and then something happens and everybody freaks out and they're like, whoa. Yeah, we probably should have listened to the crazy guy yelling about our privacy 10 years ago. All right, well, let's move on here. Enough about Amazon. Let's talk about some good news here. Somebody has avoided the graveyard. So LifeX smart bulbs and the people. So let's start here. Loyal users of LifeX smart lights are breathing a new sigh of relief on news that the brand has a new owner and will not be appearing now in my graveyard. Although I'm not looking to buy a LifeX bulb for the graveyard. Anyway, Fight Electronics, a California-based manufacturer of lighting and smart home products, scooped up LifeX from its former owner, Buddy Technologies, which is a really good name for a home automation platform. I like it. They went back into we talked about them going to receivership earlier this year, based in Australia. Fight plans to offer a suite of LifeX products and plans to expand the line with new innovations. In addition, Fight Electric will support and evolve LifeX app cloud platform while maintaining a separate Fight Electric platform for their smart things. And they're talking about future integrations with that. No disruptions are expected to either platform while this is going on. So good for LifeX owners. This sounds overall positive to me.
Yeah, at least it didn't end up dying.
Yeah.
Earlier this year we talked about, going into bankruptcy or conservatorship and possibly not existing anymore. So at least somebody scooped them up. Everything I've ever heard about LifeX has been pretty positive. It's basically a discount Philips Hue in a way. Some people actually like it a little bit more. I've used them a couple times myself, and I think they work great. I don't know much about Fiat Electric, though. I've never heard of them outside of like discount stores like Menards or Walmart,
I see even Costco.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So don't know much about them, but we'll see how it turns out.
And I'm the other way around. I don't know much about LifeX, but all the bulbs in my house are Fiat, just regular LED bulbs, and they all work great. I've been happy with them. I got them at our local Home Depot. They were on sale and stuff like that. But it's good when, a lot of people were fans of LifeX, and it's good to see that, somebody picked them up, because otherwise we'd have a lot of people complaining about their LifeX soft working. Though these were HomeKit compatible, I believe, weren't they? These were LifeX's HomeKit.
I want to say they were like a Wi-Fi based, weren't they? But I do remember them having. I mean, I remember them having out of the gate an API, which was like more impressive than the other brands and products that existed. So, like,
was it local API or cloud based?
Yeah, I thought it was a local API. It wasn't. No, I don't think it was cloud based. It was like half the price of like a Philips Hue. Like
as far as I know, they were only Wi-Fi. They didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
And you see, that's a key thing right there, because if it has a local API and it's all local, and the company goes out of business, at least your devices will still work, right, at that point, right? Whereas if it was a cloud-based integration and the company goes away, they turn off the servers, then your devices stop working. So just something to consider.
Yeah, I never heard anything. I guess I should say I've never heard anything bad about LifeX while they were out. So it's good that they did get snapped up. It seemed like it was good technology, a good crew over there. But I mean, they definitely are up against some stiff competition, in that space. Like, there are definitely, like, we're talking about them being like a discount version of Philips Hue. there are discount versions of LifeX that exist right now that are probably half the price, $20 or whatever for some kind of smart light bulb or something. And that's what they're competing against, based on price and all that good stuff. So it was I think it was a Kickstarter, right? Started as a Kickstarter, I believe. And they got $1.3 million in 5 days. In 2014, an additional $12 million in funding came in through Series A investments, and company's capital was $16.6 million. That's not a bad ride, I guess. Not a bad ride.
Pretty much what happens in the technology space these days. You either live long enough to become giant, or you live long enough to get acquired. And at least this time it wasn't Amazon.
Exactly. Well, moving on here. Speaking of expensive light bulbs, Italian LED lighting specialist Twinkies.
Man, they came back in a different way.
I've got my Twinkies lights. All right. Twinkly. I'm really going to have a hard problem saying that from now on, though. Today revealed the newest forthcoming product. They're calling it Squares. The new Square, which is funny because, like, if you look at their packaging, it's squares, strings, nets or something. Like, they don't have very fancy names. The new Squares, which are slated for a September release, contain 64 individual mini square LEDs per tile. So you got 8 row by 8 columns. Each of them is individually addressable, with each tile sized at about 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches, or if you want to get technical, 16 centimeters by 16 centimeters, because they put that in the article. I will read it. As a bonus, the new Squares will be HomeKit compatible on release, as well as working with Amazon Google, and even Homey, which I don't think I've ever heard of Homey. I'm not sure who that is. If you're a gaming fan with a penchant for synchronized lighting, then you'll be happy to hear that they are also compatible with the Razer Chroma. So that's actually really cool. There's no price mentioned. TJ and I have some speculation on what it will be, but only that they'll be launched late in September. And there's a few images on the website, so it appears that they'll be offering a number of like options, starting off with like a single tile starter kit, and then there's a couple of like extension packs that have and larger packs that may come with a controller. It looks like so. We'll have to see what that does. Twinkly is a cool. I don't know if you guys ever used Twinkly. We bought some of their overly expensive Christmas lights last year. Tossed them into the tree, and man, they're a lot of fun. You basically aim your phone camera at the Christmas tree. It digitally maps out where all the lights are, and then does all these special effects in your tree. And you can just toss the lights in the tree. It doesn't matter. You don't have to like run them in specific orders or anything, or count how many you have. Like it just figures it out. It's great. And I'm actually kind of excited about this. What about you, Gavin? You want one of these things? You want a tile?
I
A square?
have to first find out how much this thing costs, because when they don't mention a price, it's almost like if I have to ask what the price is, then I'm not the guy that should be buying this.
Commit
right?
now, yes.
Imagine
Yeah.
putting this in the rack, Gavin. That would be nice.
No, my rack's done, but they look really cool. They look fun. That's all it is. It's just a fun factor that I like about them, and depending on the price, I might grab one. We'll see.
I literally have no reason to buy this. Like I've been
Same.
trying to think of things I could use this for since I saw the article, and everything that I think of would probably be like I wouldn't use it after like a day or two, but I still want to buy this device. It's such a cool idea, and I'm surprised it's taken somebody so long just to come up with like a simple way to do this. And especially Twinkly, like I know them from the Christmas lights and stuff like that, and I know this is kind of their area, but I would have thought some other company would have thought of this idea first. As far as price goes, there is no price listed, but I'm betting it's $100 per tile.
They have like the nanoleaf things out there. Oh yeah, I will agree with you. It's going to be absurdly expensive because that's what this company does. But they do have like the nanoleaf stuff out there that's kind of similar. I think they have like little angled or like cubic or I don't know, pentagon shaped things. I'm not sure what they have. Maybe it's triangles. I purchased the metric Sky product a couple of years ago. Probably like 5 years ago now, and it was like, oh, we're shipping. It seemed like, oh, this is just a pre-order, but it turns out it was basically me just financing their company while they build it. So maybe one day I'll get this thing. I don't know, but it was quite expensive. But it's kind of the same thing. They just have taken forever to release it. Like it comes in like triangles. So you can kind of attach those triangles, like 4 triangles make a square or whatever. But I do like this a little bit better. And since Twinkly is a company that can probably ship, it's probably going to exist before this thing does.
Yeah. Well, look, if it's under $100 a tile, I promise I will buy one and play with it. If it's $100 or more, I'm probably not going to buy one.
You need to buy more than one. I feel this is the type of product that if you just buy one, you're gonna feel so like you're missing out. You
It's
need
like a
to buy like
drug.
8. Yeah, you have to buy 8 and fill the whole wall. It's gonna bug you until you finish that wall.
We had so much fun with the single strand that we bought, and I bought some kind of like legacy I don't know, it was like a legacy edition or something like that, but it had like the RGBW built into it, so it was like it was the 3 LEDs plus the white LED, which is nice because like a traditional RGB LED doesn't do white just so, like it doesn't do a great job at it. So you could activate the white LEDs, and it looks like a traditional Christmas tree for a little bit, and then it goes into these wild animations and that kind of thing. But my wife was like, "Oh, you need to buy another strand because we need more lights on this thing next year." And I think we even picked up the little, I think it's a separate module. It's like a Bluetooth thing that you plug in, but it just relays like music sounds or something. So the tree will like activate with music. So this thing, if it integrates with any or all of that, it's going to be super exciting. And I will probably, I mean, I like this stuff. I know how to actually make this stuff, but at a fraction of the cost. But it's like it's done. Like I don't have to
it's
do
so much
anything.
easier just to buy a product that's
So much
finished
easier.
and it's like supported by somebody that's not you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's worth it. If you use it all the time and you think you'll get the added functionality of it, it's definitely nice to have. If you're just turning it on and off, probably just get regular lights at that point.
Oh man. Well, we'll have to see what happens. We have to keep an eye on this one and keep an eye on my ever diminishing bank account because I think this is gonna be like a Gavin's rack situation. It's just gonna escalate.
Yeah.
It's
You're
never
gonna
gonna
buy.
end.
It's gonna start with one today, and 8 panels later, you'll be crying.
Man, I hate to think if they're $100 a pop, that 8 panels. Oh my god.
Yeah, and now that I'm like, now that I'm looking at their other products online, like $100 seems like a little much. Maybe $50 to $75 a panel, because they're going to expect you to buy multiples.
Yeah.
And some of their other lights, like they've got a 400 LED string light that I'm looking at on Best Buy right now. It's $180.
Mm.
So I was probably exaggerating a little with the price. Maybe I'll re-aim for $50 to $75.
And you guys are quoting in US dollars. That still hurts. Still
Hey.
hurts when I do the conversion.
They actually have a full commercial division on there, and there's like a 40-meter Christmas tree or something crazy like that you can get. That's like tens of thousands of dollars. So, I had run across that once before, but yeah, you can do this twinkly stuff in bulk with their commercial stuff. So it's kind of
genius.
Yeah. Well, it's just lights. It's kind of cool though. Anyway, maybe not 40 meters tall. I think it's smaller, but it's absurdly tall and has an absurd amount of lights on it. If you go to their commercial, we'll put a link to their Twinkie for professionals. We'll put a link to that, and they've got a pretty good video that just loads right up and has all these trees that are lit up and the big Christmas tree in the middle.
We are going to get picked up on Google search for not the right reasons.
Oh boy. All right, well, let's move on here. One more story about this is kind of a weird one. HBO Max is not not dead. It's going to move from this article here that we read here. It's in the summer 2023, HBO Max will be replaced. How do I read this? So HBO Max will be basically squished together and combined together into this Discovery app, and they'll call it Discovery Plus. So Warner Brothers owns Discovery and I guess HBO and Discovery Plus, and they're just going to say, okay, let's squish all of these properties together in the not HBO. Like HBO seems like a bigger brand than Discovery, but I guess not. They're just going to squash them into the Discovery Plus app. I don't know how to make sense of this. Like this is one of those. Well, they go on to explain that HBO infrastructure really is horrible, and so they don't want to like bring in everything under that umbrella. And Discovery Plus evidently had a quote better tech stack that would become the core of the new service. So I guess from that standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to move over to Discovery Plus. Well, why call it Discovery Plus? It's really weird. When I think of like Game of Thrones or Westworld, I don't think of Discovery.
They're gonna ruin all my great Game Warden shows with HBO Max, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Is that where those are? They're on Discovery.
They are. It's the only channel or only streaming service I know that has those kind of shows, actually. So they must have the stronghold on it.
Think about if Barry was a Game Warden. That would be a good show.
That'd be a good crossover. I'd watch it.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this goes. It's funny. Before the show, I think Seth, you were talking about the HBO Max is always awful for you, or people in general. I have the opposite. HBO Max for me has always been great. I don't know what the problem is with it. I don't have any problems with loading. It always works the first time. I like the layout of it, but I guess I might be in the minority.
I don't know. I think my problems with that, and I'm going to go back like a year or two since the last time I used it, because we haven't used it in a long time. It's one of those that something came on it, we had to watch it, and after the series was over, we canceled. But I want to say that the problem I had most with it was that it had an issue like syncing what you watched or something, or just keeping up with it. So I really can't remember. I just know I was very annoyed with that app, and I was like, you know what? I really don't care that we get rid of it. I really don't care too much. Gavin's just laughing over here because he doesn't have any of these apps in his
No.
in Canada.
He just has to. He just has to worry about streaming soap operas. That's it.
Yeah, and this goes back to things. Just they overcomplicate this stuff. Like, what if my mom wants to watch something now on like what HBO, or they move things around. How do people keep on top of all this stuff?
I honestly I don't know. There was a couple of aggregation websites out there. I can't remember what they are now. I have to go look in our show notes. We're actually linked to them, but like there were a couple of them that were actually really nice, where you put in kind of what you wanted to watch, and then it spat out the services or things that you could get. I'll see if I can dig one of those up. But
it's like wheretowatch.com or something like that, or
well, there's an app called Just Watch that I use all the time. So if somebody, like one of you guys, recommend something to me, I'll go to that, look up where it is, and kind of like put it on a list to watch. But these were like, if I want to watch these particular network shows, where can I go to either watch them linearly, or like they're just big aggregation sites, and they actually work really well, but you have to kind of know what you want to watch. That's my problem. Like I don't know what I want to watch.
Yeah,
you guys tell me.
That's kind of why I want the next step of streaming to be that the congregation apps, the services that kind of just take all the other streaming services and mix it into one, so you don't have to worry about it as much. I don't know when we'll see that, but streaming has started becoming a nightmare. So I guess if they consolidate, it's a little better for everybody, but maybe they'll jack the price up twice as much too. So
everybody's trying to. Go ahead, Gavin.
Isn't that what Apple was trying to do at one point with the Apple TV? Was trying to basically aggregate from all the apps into one interface that removed this frustration and confusion, but people didn't want to do it.
Well, and a lot of companies have attempted this.
Yeah, every company has attempted this.
Yeah.
Apple, Roku, Plex, like they're all in. They're all trying to do it.
I've never found one that I really like that much, though. Like all of them do it in their own way, and they kind of work in their own way. But I've never found one that like makes me just want to continuously use it.
Right. Yeah. Apple's is actually halfway decent. The biggest problem I think they had is they couldn't get Netflix under that agreement. So if you, and who doesn't have a Netflix subscription if you're watching streaming? It didn't interface with that because Netflix didn't want to tell Apple, their show data, which I guess you kind of have to have, or Apple could infer as to what was popular. At the same time, Apple released Apple TV Plus, and that kind of became part of that interface, but then not really that interface. It just totally confused everything out of that. So it's a hot mess now. Like I think the Plex one's actually the best one because it gives you like all sorts of fun stuff to look at and trailers and like these are upcoming movies and that kind of stuff. But again, TJ, you're right. Not really in love with any one of them.
Yeah, and there's not much that's like I would say watchable TV on Discovery Plus. So I think this is a win for Discovery Plus users.
Just the bounty hunter shows.
Yeah, just like random shows like that I can't, that I don't think anybody would miss necessarily, but they're there. Just filler TV.
Well, HBO Max coming to Discovery near you. So here we go. All the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found in our show notes at HomeTech.fm/399.
Just going to skip right over the Sonos article.
Did I really skip? Oh, I did.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. It just slipped. All right. I'll go back to it just for you. All right. We'll edit it. All right, moving on here. We got one more big story for tonight. The court cases continue. Google seems to be striking back at Sonos with a pair of lawsuits alleging that the wireless speaker company is infringing on a number of its patents around smart home speakers and voice control technology. That was me just ending it. Let's see. Its latest volley back and forth over the wireless speakers. Google is claiming that. I'm sorry. In the newest lawsuits, Google is alleging infringement of 7 additional patents because they've already sued them Sonos before. Sonos filed some lawsuits. Google's like, hey, you're infringing our patents. We'll file our own lawsuits. And then Sonos wins. And now here we are. Google is filing more lawsuits on 7 additional patents. One lawsuit focuses on hot word detection and wireless charging, and the other revolves around how a group of speakers determines which one should respond to the voice input. Sonos called the lawsuits an intimidation tactic, and Google said they were defending their intellectual property. We'll have to wait for this one to run its way through the courts, I guess. I don't know. Gavin, what do you think about this thing?
In the end, if Google wins and Sonos has to pull some features or something, in the end, the only people that win are the lawyers, and the people that lose are us end users. That's what it comes down to, right? Like, these big companies can't get along. They're going to be bickering back and forth for a while. Hopefully it doesn't mean Sonos will, pull any features, but it also pulls away from them, focusing on developing new features, and bringing more for us, like, I could see the good side, I could see the bad side, and there's a lot of bad side to this.
Yeah, TJ, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of assumed stuff like this was going to happen. I think Google can still technically appeal the previous ruling for Google's patent infringements on Sonos. I think they're still in the appeal process of that, so I expect that to drag on as well. But, this makes sense. Google is a much larger company than Sonos. They could easily drain their reserves by just, filing a bunch of lawsuits and stuff. They don't have to be credible. They can just be annoying and not go away for many years at a time, which causes Sonos to just throw money at it. And we already know that Sonos can go after Amazon for a similar patent issue. So it's just drawing that part out as well, right? Like, we're going to see this lawsuit go on for a couple of years, and then maybe it'll get resolved, maybe it won't, and then another lawsuit will come out of it. So it's peck. Smallest company is going to get pecked to death. So I think Sonos market cap's like $3 billion or something like that, and Google is at like $1.5 trillion. So not hard to tell which one will be able to last longer.
Yeah, the sparring back and forth, and with paying attorneys, I think Google is going to win that fight every time. Although Sonos has definitely held their own and at least won a little bit and caused some pain for Google engineers and Google users, unfortunately, like Gavin was saying. At the end of the day, we are the losers. Thanks, Google. Thanks, Sonos. Whatever you're doing, I don't know. It seems to me like, I mean, I understand that this technology stuff is kind of new and there's all these patents floating around about it, but like, I don't know, some of this stuff doesn't seem new at all. Like, wake words, like, are you sure that should be something that's patentable? Because there's definitely prior art on that. Like, that goes way back to the 90s with like the HAL 9000 stuff that existed. So anyway, courts, lawyers, Google and Sonos, there you
go. We'll know in a couple of years.
Might know. Who knows? They could settle. Who knows?
That's true. And that's probably what they're ultimately going for, right? They're probably trying to make Sonos life miserable. That way Sonos just says, hey, let's stop that. We can license this to you for much cheaper or free or whatever, compared to what we were offering before, and they'll both move on.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure that Sonos is like, hey, Google, we won those lawsuits. You want your Chromecast to work again? We got this license deal for you. And
100%.
Yeah. So Google's like, nope, we'll not only do I say no to your licensing deal, I will file more lawsuits. So there you go. What are you going to do? I don't know. My Sonos still works great. I don't have a Google Chromecast, so until my Sonos stops working, I guess
all I really use my Sonos for is AirPlay 2 and the Amazon integration, but that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Yeah, these whenever these things happen, it always scares me because a lot of the comments are always like, "Well, Apple should buy Sonos, or Amazon should buy Sonos, or Google should buy Sonos," and I'm just sitting in the back, and I'm like, I really hope nobody buys Sonos. Just keep doing your thing. I wish there was an alternative to Sonos, but I really don't want one of the giant companies to buy them and just lock out every other vendor,
Right.
because that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, it totally would.
It's not going to continue being an open thing that anybody can get a streaming service for or anything. It's going to be totally locked down. So don't do that, please.
Yeah, don't do that. That would be bad.
I like my speakers.
We would all be losers at that point. All of us. All right. Well, speaking of all this, all the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found on our show notes at HomeTech.fm/399. Guys, we've got a mailbag tonight. Mitch writes in, I am wondering what it's like to be a custom integrator. Oh, this is going to be fun. If I wanted to become a custom integrator, what would I need to do? How would I need to go about doing it? I love AV gear and home automation and playing and learning with the latest technologies. And I'd love to get access to high-end gear and become a dealer for products and have a showroom in my home. So, TJ is probably the closest. Gavin, you don't seem to be having the going from what you do your day to day to a custom integrator.
Nope, this ain't a question for me.
This is not a question for you. Sorry, but TJ, you're probably closest to this. What is your advice here for Mitch?
Yeah, I will start off by saying I'm definitely not a custom integrator at this point. I pretty much do networking and security. If you want like an actual opinion from other custom integrators and from various, walks of life, the people that do, very high end automation or maybe not so high end, join our Slack channel. It's a great resource of a ton of different integrators from all over the world. It's kind of just like any other job. There's days that it's amazing. You create a system and you hand it over to the client, and the client's like the most excited they've ever been in their life. And then there's other days where, it's customer service and you're dealing with somebody's Wi-Fi not working, or they're not able to watch the TV when the big sports game is on because of the remote that you installed. So if you join the Slack channel, there's a bunch of different aspects you can get if you're seriously considering going into this work. If you haven't done anything like this before, my biggest recommendation is to work with another company and learn what they do. Some days you're not doing anything exciting. You're running cabling in an attic or a crawl space or outside. Other days you're installing TVs or installing networking equipment, that kind of thing. So that's one of the things I really like about it, is that every day is different. Every week is different. But there's so much to it, and it really depends on what you want out of it. If you can make a whole job of just installing smart home devices or networking devices or security cameras or security devices. It really depends on what you want to focus on and what you're excited about.
Yep. And it was a really good answer. I would say as well, if this is something you haven't done and it's a career path that you think you want to go to, it's more like I can't think of like any, like, I know that CEDIA may have like a school or something that you can go to get like a boot camp done and get kind of the basic skills put together, but it's a very like apprenticeship / master type industry where if you want to see how, and we only talk about the product and the home automation and the high-end stuff, that we come across, but this is a business. Like there's a whole other aspect to running a custom integration business than there is just getting your hands on equipment, because you've got project management, you have continual education, you have to know QuickBooks. Like I just like said QuickBooks and like the hair on the back of my neck. I don't know why, but
that's why you have an accountant or a bookkeeper.
Yeah, but they still want you to use QuickBooks and accounts receivable, accounts payable. Like you have to know all this stuff. There's so much more that goes into running a business than just being able to hang a TV. So I definitely would recommend, as an industry is as wide and is like as this, like there's an entire spectrum as TJ kind of went over a couple of things, like there's even more, like there's central vac stuff, like there's all sorts of stuff that integrators get their hands onto. I would definitely recommend going to work for somebody, see if it's what you like to do. You do start off pulling wire as a grunt. There's no if you're good at sales, maybe you can start at sales and learn your way that way. But again, that even almost takes like a hands-on approach, right? Like you have to learn what those wires are going in the wall for before you can actually sell them. So it's a tough industry to break into because there's such an onboard thing. Like I said, I can't think of any boot camps. I know there was someone doing like the art of sound or something in the UK, like as a boot camp. AOS is what I remember seeing, and they were doing kind of like a boot camp and training, kind of based around Control 4 systems. But I'm not sure anybody is doing that kind of setup here in the States. So if you're over there, Mitch, take a look at that. But I would definitely take TJ's advice. Look up in the phone book what the local custom integrator is. Go to work for them first and see if that's what you want to get into. And after you kind of like gain some knowledge and learn where all the trade secrets are, head out on your own, gather up some clients and do your own thing. That's generally how this business runs. But again, you'll be running a business. There will be taxes to pay. There will be projects to manage. There will be staff. There will be conflicts with scheduling. There's all sorts of stuff that goes into this business that is not fun and not playing with equipment.
Yeah. And one of the biggest issues right now is, kind of like a lot of other things in life, unfortunately, shipping delays for a lot of products. There's a couple integrators in the chat right now that they're waiting a year or two on product so that they can finish a house that they started a year ago. So there's a lot of that right now that, is a little scary. And granted, they're from larger companies that probably shouldn't go out of business or anything like that, but you're still waiting months, if not years, for devices to come in so you can finish houses that people have lived in and not been able to use to the full extent. So I think it's a wonderful thing. I like playing with new technology. I like spending other people's money and playing with the technology that I buy for them. It's a really fun job, but there's just so many different aspects of it that you kind of have to decide what you're most interested in. If you're most interested in the home automation space, there's definitely a field for you there. I think it has a high barrier of entry though. A lot of these dealers, they have very expensive buy-in programs and extensive training programs as well, where that takes a lot of upfront capital.
Yeah.
A lot of the like Control 4 or Crestron, they're going to require you to buy, $10,000 or $20,000 worth of equipment before you can even, program anything or do training or anything like that. So there's a lot that goes into it. I'd say find out what you're actually interested in, see if there's a local company to you that does it, and work with them for a little bit and see if you actually like it.
Yep,
and if you do, then go ahead.
Yep. Well, good luck to you, Mitch. Hopefully you do enter the industry. It definitely needs young blood. I don't know if you're young or old, Mitch, but we need new people in the industry every day because it is kind of phasing out, at least what I see. I know a lot of I don't know if too many younger companies out there, right? Like TJ, you're an exception to the rule. Like a lot of these companies were established in the early 2000s, and if they were around before that, like we're talking like 90s, 80s, like these guys have been around forever. Like it's a generational project. So there's not too many like newer companies out there to kind of take over from what the current crop of dealers are out there. So we definitely need more people entering the industry, able to do the work, able to train, able to know how to do it. And good luck to you, man. Hope you find out what you want to do.
And it's changing every single day. The home automation space in the next 5 years, heck, even the next 2 years, is going to look completely different than what it does right now. Yeah. So there's all kinds of options out there. So explore it, see what happens. And if you're not part of the Slack already, I'd say go ahead and join. It's definitely a good insight to what goes on every day.
Yeah. Just costs $1.
Just $1.
Just $1.
$5 gets you a shout out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the secret is, I don't know, should I tell anybody the secret? Like, we never kick anybody out. Is that it's kind of an
There you
ongoing
go.
secret. Yeah. It's just like, it's an automated thing. We could invite you, but it's just easier because it's automated. All right. Well, let's move on here. Mitch, good luck to you. And hopefully we'll see you over there in the Slack chat. And you can ask away in there. There's guys who are of different, Gavin can attest to this. Everyone in there has a different opinion about something, and they will tell you. They will give you the honest truth. That's for sure.
And way more qualified than I am. So
yeah, me too. Very, very, very much more. All right. Well, let's move on, guys. I got a pick of the week here. This one floated across my Twitter stream, and I just laughed and laughed and laughed. But it is one of those signs you see for a refrigerator for sale stuck up on the telephone pole. And I'm just going to read from it here. It's in all caps, which just adds to the hilarity of it. It says, my stepmother had a heart attack on our kitchen floor in the middle of the electrical storm, and her soul was transferred into the computer unit of our smart fridge. She has been subtly undermining me ever since, commenting on how many processed cheese slices I've eaten or whether I've put a lid properly back on a thing. And clearly this is from the UK, so the word whilst is used. So whilst my wife finds comfort in her mother's still being around, I'm starting to feel it completely unreasonable that she's decided to linger in our fridge, judging me on my culinary decisions. She has to go. I think that's in bold and italic. Aside from the soul within, the fridge is completely in working order, and then I'm sure the unit would fare more agreeably in a house with someone who hasn't forced their quote perfect child into a life of quote mediocre servitude. And you can contact Tipper if you'd like to pick up that possessed fridge. But I just thought this was hilarious. It reminded me of the smart fridges that are out there, and if they had a voice in them, and if a ghost ended up in it. Like, this could be a movie. I would watch this movie. I really would.
A movie about a cursed fridge. The
cursed mother-in-law that lives in it.
I remember the Amazon A Lady story where we talked about a number of episodes back where they were trying to use voices of your deceased family, so you could talk to them through your Amazon device.
Ooh.
And I'm just like, man, like Amazon needs to buy the fridge company now so that they can build the deceased.
They got the beta software. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that would be freaky. I wouldn't even want to buy this fridge.
Well, that's how you know it's fake, because it's taped to a telephone pole. Nobody does that anymore.
Technically, would the proper place for this fridge be in your graveyard, Seth? Like, technically,
Gonna need a bigger shelf.
Technically correct, and that's kind of correct. So, oh man, this was too funny. I got to get a laugh out of it, and it's bringing that back around to the Amazon echo, bringing up deceased voices. Yeah, that's. Oh man, this definitely could be a movie. I mean, there are all sorts of movies that have this exact premise in them already. So, make it happen, Hollywood. Make it. Apple TV can do this. The next version of the party, the after party, will have a cursed fridge in it. So
you remember there was the cursed car? What was that movie with the cursed
Christine
car? Yeah, you can have
the same
fridge
thing.
versus
It's
car.
just a fridge.
Fridge versus car. Who will win?
I blame Pied Piper ever since they uploaded that software to the fridge.
That was too good. Oh man, Jin Yang. All right. If you have any feedback, questions, comments, picks of the week, or great ideas for a show, give us a shout. If you have a possessed fridge, let me know too. Our email address is feedback@HomeTech.fm, or you can visit HomeTech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. All right, project updates. Gavin, the rack is complete. You keep saying that, but we don't believe you.
There's no such thing as a complete rack. There's only things that you haven't bought yet.
No. I got the final piece this week. By the time you post this show, I'll probably have a picture for you to include
the final piece.
The final product. The final piece was the monitor mount. Right. So I now mounted my monitor in the rack. And it's
not
pretty
mounted
much
yet. Don't get ahead
not
of yourself.
okay. By the time we post this show, I'll have a picture for you.
There's some custom integration you've got to do to it. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's not easy, and I'm happy I'm not a custom integrator when I have to deal with stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
But it's looking good, it's feeling good, and then I got to do a bunch of cleanup in the basement because all my tools are everywhere, and the old stuff is all I gotta throw it in. The number of boxes I have in my garage right now is a half day to clean up.
I believe it.
Yeah. The wife, she little subtle hints, like I went down there today and the Dyson vacuum in the garbage bin was sitting next to it. I didn't put that there, but it was a subtle hint, like the X-Acto knife or the box cutter, it was sitting right by the pile of boxes.
It's
like
weird.
yeah, I didn't.
You might have a possessed appliance in your house.
Ooh, maybe the rack's possessed.
Maybe the rack, yeah.
There's subtle hints about things I need to still do. So
I really like this. You've done a great job of you cleaned up quite a bit, and
It does
the
look
TV,
nice.
yeah, the TV is able to hide away some of the smaller non-rack mountable type devices.
Yes.
That's what it's supposed to do. It's back there. So that's great. And you got your patch panel
You
squared
did something
away.
with your toe decapitator down below. I like that.
The toe shelf has the speaker on it now. So that's a great idea.
Yep. That's an AirPlay speaker for my base that I use in my basement.
Still unsure what the toe shelf is for, but the speaker
It's to
is
hold my
idea.
speaker.
I don't know.
I'm not complaining now.
Need a small step up.
It's a strange design from Sysrax, but it's probably for mounting to the floor or something like that.
Did you order black screws yet?
No, like I'm fine with the silver one.
Gosh, it's not gonna be finished
done.
to get black
Nope.
screws. Sorry.
Put those on the back. You have all the spaces in the back. Just save those for the back equipment because we don't need to see that. But
No. I'll know. If you use those in the back, I'll know.
All right. That's funny. Well, I see that there's a space still left that you can pop in that Unify. What is it? The UDM Pro, so you can get that rack mounted. And put that
Yeah, you
thing.
gotta get a new UDM Pro. So
yeah, you got some upgrade space. You're good to go. You still got stuff to do. You're not finished. Your
rack is not done until it's filled.
It never ends,
And then once it's filled, there's still more work to do.
Yeah,
exactly. I was already looking at a UDM Pro. I have a little watch out for them. But then I want to wait on the new Bell service to get in here first. So if I get like 3 gig or something like that, I can plan for the proper equipment.
That looks good, man. Good job.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Round of applause and everything. It's
first 12 computers.
Yeah, it's a lot of computers. It's pretty good.
Actually, I'm down to 2 computers in that rack now, but one of them has like 24 threads in it, so I'm running a lot of things on it.
It's looking much better every day. So
100% better than mine. So
yeah,
I don't even look at mine. I just ignore it.
Yeah, I haven't even. Yeah, at least you had like the wherewithal to like gather everything all at once. Like I got the rack and I'm like, let's just start shoving stuff in it. Oh, that's rack mount. Just putting it in, and now I'm like, oh man, I made a mistake. I need to take this out and move it to the bottom because this is too heavy to live here.
You spend way more time reorganizing it than just putting it together properly.
Absolutely no organization left in there now. Like it's the wires. It's a mess. So yeah, I envy that you're close to being done here, at least for version 1, because as soon as you put anything else in there, the wire is going to get messed up and you have to rewire it. So yeah, I know how it goes.
Version 1, thanks.
Yeah, for some reason, even if you don't touch the rack, there's still maintenance with the rack.
I don't know why it works.
I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, it's weird. You'll see. Now that you're
where did these wires come from?
Why they have dust on them? They haven't been here this whole time. No,
I've used Velcro zip ties. I've run the wires nicely in groups. Power goes along one side. I put the network on the other side. Kept them separate. Stuff.
It takes years for custom integrators to find out.
Yeah, I've tried to clean it up a lot, so I'll have a picture by the time we post the show.
Nice, man. No, it's looking good, looking really good. I had a little project update. I got some flare stuff in a couple weeks back. I think we talked about it. I ordered. I already had a flare puck, and I ordered an additional. And I had a vent. I ordered 2 more vents, and got those installed and put in over the weekend. And programmed up into the system. Hit go. It's actually it's definitely one of those devices. Like I forgot how it worked and how to set it up, but it was pretty easy. Like I it's definitely a DIY type product. Like it seems like it's an advanced thing, but once you get it in and understand exactly what they're doing, it basically takes over your entire AC system to do its own thing. Um, it's really cool. And if you're not familiar with Flare, if you're listening and not familiar with it, they have like these motorized vents that open and shut, and there's some pucks that lay around and figure out the temperature and that kind of thing. And I have since I have central air and heat, it's the Ecobee. It's one of the earlier Ecobees with one remote sensor, and that actually integrates in. So like I can on the Flare system itself, I can use the Ecobee sensor, and I can put that in its own room, and it kind of is able to equalize out the system that way. So only one problem. Does anybody want to take a guess what it is? No. I installed the Flare in the master bedroom, and of course new vent in the master bedroom, and I get, hey, why is this thing whistling? So I guess it had closed itself because it was cycled off in that room, but was trying to cool another room, and it whistles. So
I'm sure that's not very annoying.
no.
So it whistles when it closes. I guess that's the air trying to just leak
still being
through.
forced out. So
yeah, still being forced through.
No air for it to go.
Nowhere. Yep, it's kind of whistles. And I guess I looked on their website. If you contact their support, and I forgot to today, they give you a they have some like silicone strips or something they can ship. I don't know why they don't include them in the box just in case you have this problem, but like they can ship you some silicone strips to put on there, and it makes a better seal on it or something like that. So I'd kind of prefer it just to kind of remain open a little bit. Like it doesn't need to close 100%, but I don't know. They're the ones who engineered it, and if they say it needs to close, it'll close and do its own thing until the unit cycles off. But other than that, that what basically made me had to disable the entire system because you can't, without putting it into manual and turning off all the smart stuff, you can't actually manually open the vent. So the smart vents I have are now dumb vents and just all open. So I'll have to call support or get on their chat or whatever and see if I can get some of those silicone things put in. But other than that, all is good. It worked. The install was simple. You put them up very easily, and the little pucks and everything get programmed easily into the app. And I've got a bunch of rooms there on the system now, so I'm pretty happy with it so far.
Very cool. It sounds like a really cool device. So
it is, and it's really not that expensive. Like the vents are under $100. I think if you get like the plastic cheap vents from Home Depot, you're paying $10 to $20 for those anyway. If you get the aluminum ones that are like heavy duty, you're going to pay a lot more for those. And these are kind of like somewhere in the middle. They're not like plastic. They're made out of metal, and they've got good build quality. But I want to say they're like under $100 for most of them. They come in different sizes, so I guess it could range. The pucks are the little sensor things are more expensive than anything. And that's how you get the temperature and humidity throughout the house. But those are, you don't have to have very many of those. And you can also use the Ecobee sensors if you have an Ecobee thermostat, put those throughout your house. It's a lot cheaper to do that. So I don't know. Yeah. If you're, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh,
no, you go ahead first.
In my place, what I do is I have temperature sensors throughout the house in various rooms throughout the house, and I have like a dashboard that shows me all my temperatures, and I kind of balance it out manually. Basically, what the Flare is doing, I do it manually. So
yeah.
When I find like the upstairs, like usually at the beginning of the year, when you've turned on the AC for the first time, you'll find that the upstairs is a little warmer than the downstairs. So I start closing vents off and adjusting the dampers just in the downstairs to force more air upstairs. And just having the dashboard of all the various temperatures, it helps to balance that all out. It makes that job easier because then you see this upstairs start getting cooler and they balance each other out. But then I have to do it again when I turn on the heat now, right? Like, so come fall, when you start getting into the heating season, then I got to rebalance everything again. So It sounds like the flare is actually doing that for you. It makes it a little easier. It might be worthwhile. And even if I didn't get it for all the registers, just the key ones that usually open and close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need it for every one of them. They even tell you that, like, they don't expect you to do all of them. It's just for the rooms that you want to kind of automate. So in our house, the bedrooms are all like extremities. Actually, one's right next to the unit, so that one's like constantly pressured and just like it gets cool so fast. And then so that's the first one I put it in. Now that one shuts off and the air kind of can go out to the other ones. But I guess whatever the other night was causing the whistle vent situation, we've got to fix that. That can never happen. So it would probably help you out if you picked up a couple of them, and maybe even depends on the thermostat you're using. You might be able to like backfeed that information to Flare, because they support a couple of thermostats, but not everything.
Okay.
One thing I will say, I noticed when I was putting them in, they have like little terminals where the battery, like, it runs off 2C batteries, but they have little terminals on there, and it has like a 24-volt input. So if you're like building a house, and you could actually hardwire these things into like just a 24-volt, I guess, doorbell transformer or something, and you'd never have to worry about changing batteries on them. So it's kind of nice.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Nice little added feature there.
Yeah. I'm sure they have some kind of thing on their website for it that I didn't see, but yeah, if you just, it wouldn't take much to pull just a little bit of wiring over to that. And I'm sure they don't take much of electricity anyway. I mean, since they run for, I've had one for like 2 years now, and never even thought about changing the batteries. I'm sure it'd be fine. So
yeah, 24-volt AC. So yeah, you could just use like a regular doorbell transformer and power those.
Yeah,
pretty nice.
Seems easy.
Not many smart devices give you battery and hardwire options. So
right. Yeah, it's so far so good with the Flare thing.
Nice.
Other than the whistle vent.
And I love how they have a patch to fix it, like
yeah,
a little rubber thing to just send you.
It probably doesn't happen unless, I mean, it hasn't happened in our house unless there's 3 vents closed, or 2 vents closed and that third one is open or something like that. So clearly there's some pressure. And I think when I read on their support page that they can actually adjust how much pressure remotely the support can get in there and adjust how much pressure the thing opens or closes. So they may be able to tweak something there too without me applying the little silicone thing. So we'll have to see. Hopefully I'll get that resolved within the next week or so. I can turn the system back on, because I do like it that it's on there and works. One of the things I did notice this time, it's kind of been a major complaint about this system, is that when my wife went up to the thermostat and changed it, since Flare was operating everything, it just kind of ignored what she said when she walked away, and she'd walk back and she's like, "It's not changing." Turns out that was just a setting that I had not seen in the app, and you can say set the house set point from the Flare app or the thermostat, and I'm sure so much problems, marital strife, could be resolved by just reading the manual.
See, these are the things that, as a custom integrator, cost you a lot of time and money, because you just don't always know these things. Luckily, it's your own house.
Yeah, I threw the manual out when I got these things. I was like, I'm gonna do the integrator job. I'm gonna install this without a manual. I just tossed it. I popped the thing in, put it together. Oh, I know what I'm doing.
It works.
2 years of having that headache. Why doesn't the thermostat work? Oh man. Well, now I can say the thermostat works. I fixed it. So
it wasn't broken when I fixed it originally, but
I'm a hero.
I fixed my fix.
I fixed what I broke. Yeah. All right. Well, TJ, any projects this week, or you're all tapped out on projects, it seems?
Oh, not this week. I'm still recovering from catching up with COVID. So I had COVID a week or 2 ago, and that pushed me back tremendously. So still getting caught up on that, unfortunately. Not a lot of time for fun projects. I possibly blew some LED strip lights that I'm trying to play with here. So we'll see if we can make that work later, but nothing to brag about at this moment.
Definitely not anything to brag about, but Hopefully you can get those working. All right. Well, we want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support the show through our Patreon page. If you don't know about our Patreon page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show, but every pledge gets you one of those automated invites to our private Slack chat hub where you can discuss being an integrator. I'm just saying. It's great. It's actually a really good resource. There's a lot going on in there. So
much stuff going on every day. Every day it's something different. Some days, we talk about personal things. Other days we talk about home technology. Some days, it's just whatever happens. So whatever you want to talk about, we talk about it here.
Yep, it's good water cooler of industry peers is the way I think about it. So if you want to help out but can't support the show financially, we totally understand. Just appreciate a positive rating in the podcast app of your choice. With that wraps up another week here on Home Tech. From everyone here, have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Take care.
See you next time.
We're so bad at this. We're so bad at this. This is going to be like the running joke forever.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the same thing with me and Jason. We could never figure out what to say at the end of the show.
Well, it's like we really don't need both of us to say anything, but I guess we could.
Just space it out a bit better.
It's too good. It's too good. Yeah, the magic of editing. No one will ever know.
No one will ever know.
All right. Well, I have a random project, guys, to do. I'm gonna go clean the oven.
That's really random.
My wife
I
was
hope
like,
it's not haunted.
Your random project tonight is cleaning an oven. I'm like, I'm not clean. No.
Mine's eating dinner, so
she may have gotten dinner, so I may have to clean the oven to get dinner.
Ooh, got a Chipotle salad thing.
The carrot and the stick. The carrot and the stick. All right. Yep. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Yep. See ya.